Oh, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. A very warm welcome to Silver Tent TV. I'm your host, Siobhan A Riordan, along with my dog Elsa, who's been known to join in occasionally. Silver Tent is a global online community for women over 50. It's a place where women can come to be supported, to be encouraged, to be helped to realise those dreams that have yet to be realised. It's also a place which a crowd of women have gathered together to really promote the power of silver wisdom. Women over 50 have been through incredible life experiences, and the Silver Tent is about also providing a platform for those women to share that wisdom with the world. And I'm delighted to say we have one of those amazing gems of a woman here with Frances Amanda Briggs. A very warm welcome to you.
Oh, thank you, Siobhan. It's an absolute privilege to be here chatting with you today.
So I'm in Wales, a part of the UK, and Frances is in South Africa. So there's a slight delay as we talk with each other. Stay with us because I think you're going to be quite amazed by this woman and her incredible talents and gifts. So, Frances, you began your career 30 years ago in interior design. And also spent time in Findhorn as part of that kind of co-housing development in the 90s. And it's really how you and I first connected, isn't it? Was through talking about those experiences and what we can learn for Silver Co-housing, a project we're developing here in the tent.
I was so excited to hear about your co-housing project because I do believe that this is the way forward in terms of how we could be living in community. So I absolutely 100% support what you are doing with that. And yes, it was just a joy to find other sisters and other people who are keen to explore what living in community is like.
Yes, thank you. I hope we're going to touch on that a bit more as we go through our chat today. Another thing that happened with you is about 12 years ago, you took some time out of that chosen career and studied psychology and coaching and addictions counselling. And I thought it would be a good place to begin in our conversation, is really to tell us a bit about that amazing service that you provide predominantly to women, if I'm right.
It's absolutely correct. I obviously when I took, well, not obviously, but when I took my sabbatical, I actually had no idea that I would land up being a coach. What led me or what drew me to move away from interior design is because at the time it felt incredibly vacuous. And while I was blessed to have these fantastic clients, I was living in Johannesburg, I was doing high-end residential projects, but it started to feel so meaningless and so empty. And I just thought, I can't see myself in 10 years from now going, darling, your curtains, they look fabulous. It's all looking so gorgeous. So it's deepened. And my background is that my mother was an addict. And I had it had a tremendous impact on both my brother and I, or in fact, our whole family. And so I just wanted to understand more of my mother, myself, how the whole dynamic in the family was basically layered with addiction and how it had really pervaded all of our lives. So I didn't actually do anything for a year. I moved down to Cape Town. I based myself in a little town called Onrus, and I found a tiny little labyrinth under a tree on a private property which belonged to these two women who were art instructors And those of you in South Africa who know Onros will know exactly what I'm talking about. And basically, I just walked that labyrinth for about a year, every day, so asking one question, that is, what is my meaning? What is my meaning? What have I come here to do, really, and what is my purpose? And plonks, about a year later, about a year later, I was taken on as an intern to a program about addictions counseling, and ended up working in a Kenilworth clinic, which is a rehab facility, and found that I burnt out very, very quickly. Being in an institutional environment surrounded by addicts who are, actually, I've never met an addict I didn't like. Incredible people, but obviously a very toxic environment when they're in full-blown addiction. That then progressed to me going to SACAP, South African Council for Applied Psychology, and studying further to become a coach, which is what I am now. And I've taken my business. I had a one-to-one practice. I've now taken that online, and I'm able to serve women all over the world. It's just an absolute delight to me to be able to be chatting to a client in New York or Dublin or Australia, and be, helping women do sort of similarly to what I've done, is to transition out of normally a career or actually no career. Perhaps they've been just a housewife or not just a housewife, and are wanting to really have a deep yearning to also find more meaning and have a greater impact and serve the world in a different way. So that is the role that I play. I help mostly women who are high achievers. They've had usually a great amount of success. Their children are married and have left home. They're sometimes grandmothers and grandfathers, and they are then obviously wanting to find something that will be their legacy, actually. So I help them to discover what that zone of genius is and leverage it into a profitable and sustainable business.
It's fascinating hearing more about your story, and I'm the child of an alcoholic, so I can obviously identify a lot with that. It does lead you to ask some of those deeper questions about life, doesn't it? Living through that kind of experience of addiction.
Well, it's very interesting because it plays out very differently, but I think the results are still the same. And I think alcohol can be quite different to, my mother was a Valium addict, which meant that she was literally just completely out for a big chunk of my life. I would come home from school, the curtains would be closed, everything would be dark, and she'd be supine on the bed, and I wasn't allowed to disturb her. So, of course, any child would assume that they are, would feel rejected, not wanted, not loved. And so that was really kind of what led me on the path of what is my meaning, is to turn towards myself, to be able to nurture myself and grow my internal nurturing parent. And replace, in essence, the parent that I never had, which is almost impossible to do, but it's been a lifelong journey of personal mastery for me.
Yes, and for me too, which is why I identified with what you were saying. I wanted to pick up a thread there about the clients that you work with, and there seemed to be a connection there between that realizing of one's dream, one's talent. I love the way the Native Americans describe it, about our original medicine, that everyone comes here to contribute something to the web of life. And you mentioned about and turning that into a productive business. So is that kind of how you would describe your coaching, is about bringing those two aspects of self together?
Very much so. My business focuses on both personal and business mastery because I see the two as co-joined. When one works on oneself and starts to look at all, mindset, any emotional issues that might be holding us back, any limiting beliefs, that's where the work of our business begins. So, as entrepreneurs or solopreneurs, which many of us are, we can't expect to have flourishing businesses if we are sitting on top of a heap of negative beliefs or flawed mindset or limited thinking. So the work really starts there. The self-mastery is the most important aspect, because in the way my business works and what I encourage my clients to do is to not focus on strategy and tactics, but to focus on self-care and self-mastery. And it's then a sort of self-fulfilling prophecy. It's a consequence. A great thriving business is a consequence of a happy, healthy, wholesome person. So I do see that, I can't work on one and not the other, but the focus is to, most of my clients want to develop an online business. So I take them through that whole process of how to do that.
Wow. So so we have a whole array of women in our audience. And so if I wanted to go on that journey with you, what kind of thing would I expect?
Well, first of all, we do a full assessment. Your values are. Who are you as a person? Because there's no blueprint formula, although many coaches tell you this. Follow my step by step, just do what I'm doing and you'll get the results. And that isn't the case. So my job is to really listen, deep listening, so that I can understand who that being really is and what it is that they're wanting, and how to nurture them, guide them. I like to refer to myself as a guide on the side, not a sage on the stage. And a lot of coaches come with this, the answer for everything, and it's just bollocks, really. We don't. So what we can really do is facilitate a process where we can do a deep dive into what is that person, what is the result, what do they want to feel. And every single client I attract, because I don't just attract anyone, I attract ideal clients, and every single one of them who I work with wants to have a deeper impact, wants to have some kind of social contribution. They've made their money, they've had their affairs, they've had the family, they've done it all. And now what? In the third age of life, how do we take all of that skill and turn it to something profitable and meaningful? Now, very few of us, very, very few of us have the luxury of being able to retire and not work and not do anything and have literally live on residual income or policies or whatever it is. Very few of us. And given that we are living for so much longer, there's a whole career that we still have. I mean, I only started most of my major all of the impact that I've made in my business has really been made in the last 4 to 5 years. And I'm now 55. So it started when I was 50. Prior to that was all paying school fees and developing the skills and developing the knowledge. Now I get to turn it into something really meaningful that makes me want to fly out of bed in the morning. That's what I'm hoping to get my clients to do. So it's understanding values, it's understanding how you operate, it's instilling what I call energy selling, energy connection. So you can activate a client, you can draw a client to you purely based on energy, on what you are manifesting, what you're putting out, what you're believing. And there's various different techniques that I share with my clients on how to do that. So a morning routine is always something that we look at. How do you set up your day? How do you structure your day? Where does time go? Because a lot of what I find with my clients is they are sort of leaking There are a lot of leaks in their businesses of where they could either outsource, delegate, and really look at what are the profit-making products, services, offers that they have. And so then we look at how can we create a signature offer. So we look at creating a high-end offer, not low-end offers with membership sites, but one high-end offer that normally is around, you guys are working in pounds, I'm normally with dollars, packages that started around $3,000 to $5,000. So that's what we look at, how to create that package. And then I take them through the entire process of creating an ideal client, how to attract that client, where to find that client, how to target that client, how to niche your audience, how to market to that client. So it's very comprehensive, but as I mentioned, it starts with self-mastery. It starts with really getting into the depth of who we are.
I love that, and I love the way that you talk about being 55. Me too. And I have that sense of it's only in the last couple of years that life has become so much more inspiring and easy and delightful. And people always think of aging as being a degenerative process, and actually, you know, being in the silver tent, being around amazing women like yourself, for me it's I don't want to say regenerative, it's a kind of whole new level of blooming and blossoming. And as you were talking, that was the metaphor that came to me. This is a woman blooming beautifully.
Oh, bless you, Siobhan. And, you know, likewise, look and honor yourself for all this incredible work you are doing, the impact of all the women you're reaching around the world. It really is phenomenal. So I would say that you're very much on track with leaving a fantastic legacy. And I had an interesting conversation with a client recently. She was saying, yeah, but legacy, it all sounds so ego, and it sounds so, you know, me. We're leaving a legacy whether we like it or not. Every decision we make, every person we meet, every choice we make is leaving our imprint on the world. So wouldn't one rather want to do it consciously, directed with clarity and focus, as opposed to just sort of flotsam and jetsam down the river of life? It's a choice.
I love that, and you're absolutely right. For me, it is about legacy as well, and partly the co-housing has been very much inspired by my mum and accompanying her on the dementia pathway, and realising that I really don't want to end up in state care, and the best way to avoid that is to develop a co-housing village, which is what we're doing. I think that it'd be good to, I want to just pick up for ending our conversation, and I think we're going to definitely be having another one, Frances, because there's so much there. I wanted to, you talked about the interior design, and you'd reached a point where it began to feel vacuous, and so you went off and did this training and development within yourself. And now you're back doing it again. So there's something for me there about that you found some soul in it. And I wondered if you could just share with us a bit about the soul of interior design.
What I found, Siobhan, is actually the perfect client. And that's what made all the difference. If I wasn't working for my gorgeous dream Austrian client, I probably would not be working at all, because I turned down projects because I'm very clear about who I want to work with and how I want to feel when I'm working. Interior design, and especially high-end residential, is very, very tough to do, because you're dealing in such a personal way with people. But it was the precursor, in essence, to doing what I do now with coaching, because I would have to understand the needs of my client on a very deep level so that I could create an environment that worked for them, not to create a signature stamp of my own style, but so I would say to clients, you know, I need to look in your knicker drawer. I need to get into your cupboards.
Yeah.
I need to see how you function, how you live, you know, so that I can design everything for you around the way you live, not create something that you're going to struggle to function with. So in terms of you know, the soul of it is starting with absolutely nothing except a blank space and materializing, you know, it's sort of like woof, it's magic, it's alchemy to a certain degree. But to be very, very frank with you, the income is phenomenal for me.
Mm.
To have a European client and who and work in South Africa creates a very different scenario to working in South Africa with South African clients.
And as you were talking then, I realised you are really the walking embodiment of what you do in your coaching, which is to attract the client that you want. And it sounds like you've really done that.
Absolutely. It's something I hone in on very much so in terms of when I'm working with other clients. And it's also something I do myself all the time, you know, especially if I'm looking at developing a new offer or a new product. I'm very clear about exactly whom I want to work with, and I activate that person. And I literally, I'm Siobhan, you know, I knew that I was going to work with my client in Austria before we'd even met, because I had written down every single value. I wanted someone who paid on time. I wanted someone who would allow me to make decisions, who wasn't micromanaging me, breathing down my leg, looking over my shoulder, who was kind, who was polite, who was respectful to all my staff. I've been on sites where there's aggro, racial tension, gender tension, all sorts of things. And it is my job to facilitate and manage sometimes up to 52 different subcontractors on one site. And I've had terrible issues with people being treated poorly. And I won't work in those situations. So when I met my current client, I thought, that's it. And we've been working now this is my 6th year that I've been working for him exclusively. And we've just started a new project for him, which I'm super excited about. And everything's going really, really well. So yes, it's all connected. It's all, you know, everything is connected in life and in business. And our clients are not separate from us. Our clients mirror the qualities that we have. So I can't, sorry, carry on.
No, well, no, I was going to say, we've come to the end of our time now, and so definitely we need to come back and carry on having a conversation together. For any woman out there that is looking to especially develop her online business, what an absolute gift it is to be able to share with the world someone like you that can really help her. And we're definitely going to come back and talk to each other about co-housing. But for now, I'd like to give my heartfelt thanks to you, Frances, for making the time to come and talk to us and help us learn more about the power of the coaching that you're able to offer.
Oh, bless you, Siobhan. It's always just an absolute delight and joy and blessing to share any time with you. So thank you for the opportunity to be here. And I so look forward to chatting more about co-housing. There's just so much that I'd like to share and say and hear and explore. So thank you. Thank you so much.
And I know that your website's under construction at the moment, reconstruction. So the best way, and we'll put a link in, is to contact you through Facebook and Messenger for anyone that wants to follow through.
Easy as pie. Frances Amanda Briggs. I'm on Facebook. You can shoot me a private message and we can hop on a strategy call. I offer all my clients a free 15-minute strategy call just to explore if I can help them.
Perfect. This is Siobhan A Riordan signing out for Silver Tent TV. Wherever you are in the world, if the sun isn't shining in your skies, may it be shining in your heart. And Elsa kept quiet for us. Bye-bye.